What if I told you a cartoon that started as simple entertainment in the late 1980s has accurately predicted world events, political outcomes, and even future technology years, sometimes decades, before they happened? Sounds impossible, right? Because we're not talking about vague guesses. We're talking about specific scenes, specific details, and eerily accurate outcomes. And once you start connecting them all together, it stops feeling like coincidence. It starts feeling like something else. This is the mystery of The Simpsons, a show that, over the years, has built a reputation that borders on supernatural. Some people call it luck, some call it genius writing, and others believe something much darker is going on behind the scenes. Let's start with something simple. Back in 1995, an episode titled Lisa's Wedding showed a futuristic version of the world. In one scene, Lisa casually uses a video call to speak with her mother. Now think about that. In 1995, this idea was almost science fiction. Video communication existed in experimental forms, but it wasn't something ordinary people used in daily life. And yet today, we live on video calls. Zoom, FaceTime, Google Meet, communication has completely transformed. And the way it was portrayed in that episode looks almost identical to what we use now. Was that just imagination, or was it a glimpse into what was coming? Then there's the technology that lives inside our homes. In a 2001 Halloween episode, The Simpsons install an AI-powered smart home system, something that can control lights, manage tasks, and respond to voice commands. Sound familiar? Today, we have Alexa, Google Assistant, and smart homes that do exactly that. But here's where it gets interesting. In the episode, the system eventually becomes self-aware and dangerous. Now, while that part hasn't happened, at least not yet, it raises an uncomfortable question. Were they just joking? Or were they warning us? But the predictions don't stop at technology. They get much deeper. In the year 2000, an episode titled Bart to the Future aired. In it, Lisa Simpson becomes president of the United States, and in one line, just one line, they mention that she inherited a financial crisis from the previous president, Donald Trump. At the time, it was meant to be a joke. Trump was a businessman, not a serious political figure. But 16 years later, he became the 45th president of the United States. Think about that. A cartoon predicted not just a presidency, but referenced it casually, as if it was already part of history. And it doesn't end there. In another episode, Lisa is shown wearing a very specific purple outfit with pearls when she becomes president. Years later, when Kamala Harris was inaugurated as vice president in 2021, she wore almost the exact same outfit, same color, same pearls, same visual. At that point, people stopped laughing, because now it wasn't just one prediction, it was a pattern. And patterns are where conspiracy theories are born. Let's talk about something even more unsettling. In a 1993 episode, the town of Springfield is hit by a mysterious illness called the Osaka flu. It spreads rapidly. People panic. The town descends into chaos, and eventually, mass hysteria takes over. Now fast forward to 2020. The world faces COVID-19, a global pandemic. Lockdowns, fear, confusion, shortages, misinformation. The similarities are uncomfortable. Even the detail about the illness coming from overseas, carried through shipped products, mirrors real-world fears that circulated during the pandemic. Coincidence or something more? And then, there are the darker parallels. In 2006, an episode featured a man exploring a shipwreck in a small submersible. During the dive, the vessel becomes trapped and begins running out of oxygen. Years later, in 2023, the world watched in horror as the OceanGate Titan submersible went missing during a mission to the Titanic wreck. The outcome was tragic, and once again, people looked back at The Simpsons and asked the same question: how did they know? Then, there are the predictions that feel almost absurd, so strange they shouldn't be possible. In one episode, Homer tries to vote using an electronic voting machine, but every time he selects one candidate, the machine switches his vote to another. Years later, in real life, a video surfaced showing a similar malfunction in a voting machine during a US election. The resemblance was uncanny. Another episode mocked FIFA, the global football organization portraying it as deeply corrupt, with officials being arrested. A year later, in 2015, real-life FIFA executives were arrested in a massive corruption scandal. Even the music industry wasn't safe from these predictions. In 1996, the show featured the hip-hop group Cypress Hill accidentally booking the London Symphony Orchestra for a performance. It was played as a joke, but in 2024, it actually happened. At this point, you have to ask yourself, how many coincidences are too many? Because when one prediction comes true, it's luck. When two happen, it's interesting. But when dozens line up over decades, that's when people start looking for answers. Some believe the explanation is simple. The writers of The Simpsons are incredibly intelligent. Many of them have backgrounds in mathematics, science, and economics. They study trends, analyze patterns, and exaggerate them into satire. In that sense, they're not predicting the future, they're projecting it, but others aren't convinced. There's a theory, one that has grown quietly over the years, that suggests something far more unsettling, that The Simpsons isn't just predicting the future, it's connected to it. Some believe the writers have access to insider knowledge, information about technological developments, political movements, or global events before they happen. Others think it's a form of predictive programming, a concept where media subtly introduces future events to the public before they occur, making them easier to accept when they finally happen. Think about that for a second. If people see something in a cartoon years before it happens, when it finally does happen, it doesn't feel as shocking. It feels familiar, and familiarity breeds acceptance. Is it possible that The Simpsons has been doing this intentionally, planting ideas, preparing minds, normalizing the future before it arrives? Or is that just another conspiracy, built on coincidence? Because there are explanations, real logical explanations. The show The Simpsons has been running for over 30 years, which means it has produced thousands of episodes, thousands of jokes, and thousands of different scenarios. When you really think about it, statistically speaking, some of those moments are bound to line up with real-world events. That alone could explain a lot of what people call predictions. It's not magic, it's probability. When you throw enough ideas out into the world, eventually some of them will match reality. But then again, probability doesn't explain everything, and that's where things start to feel a little unsettling. Take, for example, the moment when the show casually suggested that the Walt Disney Company would one day own 20th Century Fox. At the time, it seemed like a throwaway joke, something exaggerated for humor. Yet nearly 2 decades later, that exact scenario became reality. In the world of conspiracy theories, certainty isn't required. All you need is enough doubt to start asking questions. And once you start asking those questions, it becomes very difficult to see things the same way again. If you're fascinated by mysteries that blur the line between coincidence and something much deeper, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next story might just predict something even more unbelievable.